So here's an odd choice for commentary material. I mean, I covered both a Twitter chain and a comment left on my video in the past on top of an article, so I guess this isn't too out of my ballpark. Now, there's not a lot of context to worry about here, just some guy on DeviantArt who dislikes a couple of YouTubers. Like the comment I covered, I'll be keeping the user anonymous, and I would prefer you guys not go out of your way to find this individual. Let's keep the peace a little bit. Let us begin.
Well, here's my first attempt at making stamps for DeviantArt, and my first one is on none other than the infamous YouTube commentary community, aka the YouTube cancer community.
Good first impressions. I wonder which commentators he's going to talk about in this description. I'll give you 2 guesses. And here's a hint. This guy lives in 2016.
Now, who would be everything wrong with said community? I could have easily used Leafy as here as an example, but given how he's been irrelevant for quite some time now, I've decided to use more relevant examples such as Turkey Tom and Doodletons, aka Chicken Tom and Doodle Diapers.
Guess we can put this guy on the long list of people who lump every commentary community together into one super entity. Honestly, this has been something I've wanted to talk about ever since the mysterious Mr. Enter made his own gross overgeneralization and lumping overly repeated criticism with actual libel, but this is something that people who watch me and others like me need to probably understand. And some of you guys have heard this tirade before, but we're not all one community. The likes of Leafy is here, never associated with Our Neck of the Woods, just as Just a Robot or Turkey Tom. These people don't associate with the same community I do. Just because we're all commentators doesn't mean we're all one connected community. Like with any community, there are sub-communities that sometimes cross over but don't normally, and barely even associate with one another outside of it. So when you say the CC, please don't just assume that you can lump me in with the likes of Tom. I mean, we're a part of 2 different communities, my dude.
Now, why do I think these 2 are the embodiment of everything wrong with said community? Well, let's compare the 2, shall we? They both make shitty videos.
Well, sure, but 1, you don't explain how we could improve our content, and what makes our content shitty in the first place. And 2, cool, we both make crap content. What makes us the embodiment of everything wrong with our respective communities? Unless you're trying to say that our content is the absolute standard of the communities we're a part of, this comes off as mere cherry-picking for another gross overgeneralization, because even I'll say that my standard of quality commentary-wise is lower than the average nowadays.
They're both thin-skinned cowards when it comes to criticism. Turkey Tom tends to use the "if you don't like my vids, then unsubscribe you fagit," whereas Doodle flat-out blocks critics.
Okay, let's start with your claim to Tom, because I feel like this is the most off-point out of the 2. Don't worry, we'll come back to me here in a bit. So, your claim with Tom is that when Tom gets criticized, he claims that if people don't like his content, then they shouldn't be subscribed to him. I have to ask, though, is he necessarily wrong, though? I mean, if you genuinely don't like someone's content, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be subscribed to them. That wouldn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, just criticizing someone doesn't necessarily mean you dislike that person's content. And if Tom is saying that in response to fans who are seeing a decline, that's stupid. But even I want to believe he's better than that. Regardless, we have no way of knowing where these supposed critics stand on his content, or what those critics are saying. So for all we know, these people could just be bypassers who hate the content. I get this is a DeviantArt description, but you can hyperlink examples, my dude. Now to move on to your claim that I supposedly block everyone who criticizes me, which is genuinely unfounded. There was a whole video I made on this topic. It's one of the many sources people like to pull from when taking me out of context regarding the Medicare situation, which is typically where this rumor that I block critics stems from. I showed comments in that video demonstrating a lot of what I had to deal with at the time was straight up cyber harassment and aggressive trolling. Honestly, I think that's what literally any sane person would do in that situation. Don't act like you wouldn't. Now, if that old drama from 2016 isn't what you're talking about, then literally where? Because I can point to several things in comment sections and videos that have been made correcting me and giving me valid enough criticism that I accepted it and moved on. See the recent examples of Sketch TV's video on my Umbra's commentary, or Pink Robot's counterbot on me. Yeah, I actually did think that was okay criticism for the most part. Neither individuals have been blocked. Go figure. As much as I didn't agree with Nepthys' counter-arguments to my Dwebley video, they're still not blocked. I'm constantly criticized for my voice changer and none of these people have been blocked. Mind Out of Sync? Not blocked. This exotic Benedict guy? Not blocked. Hell, even this obvious troll who left a few comments on various videos isn't even blocked. So, even by this logic, your assumption doesn't work because you can always find examples to the contrary in a number of my comment sections.
They both have White Knight cult followings.
This is literally nothing Tom and I have control over. You are reaching for things to bitch about.
They both tend to cover dead topics in their videos, in the case of Turkey Tom, Mr. Enter, whereas Doodle has covered both Joshua 8428 and Just a Robot.
Are you aware of when I covered Jar? Cause if I recall correctly, I was the second person to respond to one of Jar's videos. The only other person to do so was T Mossboss. How exactly is that a dead topic? Like, as much as I argue the concept of a dead topic to begin with, considering new information can come up and old information can reach a new audience, I can at least see where you're coming from with Josh and Enter, but Jar? Hell, even nowadays I wonder how you can consider Jar a dead topic, much less when I covered him 2 years ago. Like, I'm probably more of a dead topic at this rate than he is. And you're talking about me, so what does that make you? Also, tend to cover. If I can nitpick a bit, that implies that our content does that a lot. I mean, I can't really speak on behalf of Tom, considering I don't watch his content regularly, but I'm sitting here at officially 250 commentaries as of this one, and not even close to half is on people who can be considered a dead topic. So, way to overblow it, buddy.
They both smack talk others behind the scenes, but spurg out when others do the same to them.
How could you know that? If it's behind the scenes, that means you know us both on a personal level, and I can definitely tell you I don't know who the fuck you are, and I highly doubt Tom does either.
They're both, most likely, virgins.
Yeah? And? How is this a problem?
They both, likely, profit off of their cancerous content.
Again,
Turkey Tom's issues, now let's cover the infamous Dude Luttons.
look, Mom, I'm E-famous.
Doodle tends to be a hypocrite at times, raging at Jar for using a voice changer to sound like his robot character, where Doodle uses a voice changer in every single video, including live streams.
We're doing this again? Really? bring this up here. I get it, you're trying to be a robot, that's your character, but the way you speak is grating. It's as if you're a child trying to sound incredibly cool, but you wind up sounding more edgy than anything. It makes me want to play dodgeball in traffic. Note how not once did I mention the voice changer itself. The typical misunderstanding was that I was going after him for how it sounded, in which people called me a hypocrite without understanding that even had that been what I was doing, it wouldn't inherently make me a hypocrite. It would, however, make my problem super subjective, and Jar would have every reason to take that criticism with the grainiest of salt. But since I clarified it was the way he spoke, even in my video, my criticism was unfair because that's just his typical speaking tone. So, good going, 2016 Doodle. Yeah, sure, fuck that one up.
Doodle denies having a diaper fetish, even though the evidence is written in stone. Ahem ahem, Mr. Meadow Coors Hug Box Chronicles Episode 7.
Alright, so let's go back down this alleyway as much as I don't want to. To have a fetish in the way that Jim was accusing me, he'd have to prove that I am sexually aroused at the idea of wearing diapers, which he can't. He did provide evidence that I was in an ABDL roleplay group, but that on its own doesn't prove that I was active in it, much less am turned on to the idea. Oh, but if you're in the group, then you must like it enough to get off to it, I hear the peanut gallery saying. To that I say, no, not inherently. Especially when even in the video I explain that fetishism fascinates me infinitely. However, fetishes are things that infinitely fascinate me, as I find it to be interesting to see where the weird of the world begins and how far it goes. I will say there are some I enjoy more than others, certainly though. I'm also in a group called the Body Pilots, a group based on body part swapping. Must I also find that sexually arousing to be a part of it? No, I just think it's an interesting concept, and the community that does find it to be so is interesting enough for me to follow. There's a lot of interesting characters in that commute. Or, to a much lesser extreme, I'm in a Mega Man fan group, despite the fact that I've gone on record saying that I've barely played a single game. I just like the art and think the community is interesting. Point is, you can join a group without being active in it, so this evidence written in stone that Medicare plastered in his video is fairly flimsy at best, to be honest, and it doesn't prove that I have a diaper fetish. Now, other people brought to the table extra evidence to give an argument, and while I know the truth and that I don't, other people seem to think otherwise, and I do understand that there's now an argument to be had, so I don't vehemently argue with it nearly as much as I used to, let people believe what they want to believe at this point. Regardless, you need to get your head out of 2016 and join us in the present day. Your family is worried.
Doodle takes trolling way too seriously.
Watch him use this as an excuse to hide behind the "I was trolling" card when he finds out this video exists.
Doodle never learned from any of the backlash he's gotten from targeting larger YouTubers.
Where's your proof? The fact that I still target bigger YouTubers? I mean, this implies that I can't learn something else from doing so. For instance, from Jar I learned to be more direct with my criticism and not get too overzealous when I'm out of my box. From Medicare, I learned that if I know I'm getting angry at my target, to back off and collect my thoughts. From Mr. Dapperton, I learned not to make everything into a huge two-way argument regarding ideological standpoints. And if people disagree with my criticism, then I'm just gonna have to accept it. And even from Dylan Thomas, I learned to pick my battles better and not pick fights with people who want one. Did it take time to apply those lessons? Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, it did, and that's a problem in of itself. But I did eventually find myself applying these lessons and growing both as a content creator and as a person because of them. Of course, that has led to other criticisms regarding how boring I am, or how I lost my edge, as the cool kids call it, and that's another rant for another day. Point is, you have no actual basis on the fact that I hadn't learned a thing from covering big-name YouTubers, or if you do, now would be the time to give one of those examples you've shown you're willing to give.
Doodle is an absolute kook and a lol cow.
Now we've just evolved into redundant name-calling.
Not only are these two the embodiment of everything wrong with the commentary community.
Though I shall never explain how these problems connect to other members, because fuck it.
But other commentators tend to be sheep as well.
Yes, because all these commentaries on other members of the same community clearly show we're all sheep. When am I, 2017?
If you want to join said community, join at your own risk because that community is completely toxic. I've joined it once but left after seeing how toxic it is, and I'm glad I haven't gone back to it since it is now festering with drama whores.
There's a saying I learned. If it seems like everyone around you is toxic when you join a group of people, then maybe it's you who's the issue. I jest, of course. Regardless, I don't know about you, but even considering how we went through a horrible drama that caused a bit of distrust just a few months ago, not everyone was involved, and in fact, there are a rather large number of members that rarely get into drama to begin with. Congrats, you painted with such a broad brush that you misrepresented what you're talking about. To be frank with you though, considering how much you lived in the past all throughout this description, I'm not at all surprised. It wasn't anything new, it wasn't anything interesting, it's just the same old boring repetitive droll we in the community hear time and time again, but it's good to know, regardless of where you find it, bad CC rants are inescapable. What a way to end 250.